Now, in section 6.3, factoring trinomials whose leading coefficient is not 1. We basically already covered all of this in 6.2. I just basically taught you this method instead of teaching you various other methods. So we could just go through what we did before for 6.2. We make sure it's in the proper order. We cannot factor anything out of this. So we will write our A, which is 2, our B, which is 13, and our C, which is 15. And we know we multiply our A and C, and we will have 2 times 15, which is 30. We'll find the factors of 30. 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, and 5 and 6. Now, since all of these A, B, and C's are positive, we just add these together. We add 31, 17, 13, and 11. Now we want to get what B is equal to, which is 13. So we would take the 3 and 10. So we add 2x squared plus 3x plus 10x plus 15. Now we group the first two terms. They only have x in common, and we'll be left with 2x plus 3. The second two terms, they only have positive 5 in common, and that will leave 2x plus 3. So these two parentheses match up, so we know we factor correctly. And in one parenthesis, we'll have x plus 5. In the other parenthesis, we'll have 2x plus 3. Okay, and that is it. Now we go down here to B. Same process. Okay, now our A is 15, our B is 23, and our C is 6. So we'll multiply A times C, which would be 15 times 6, which is 90. So now we would do the factors of 90, which is 1 and 90, 2 and 45, 3 and 30. Let me see, we have 5 and 18, and we have 6 and 15, and we have 9 and 10. These are the factors of 90. Now, what we would do here, since all of them is positive, we add them up. This is 91, 47, 33, 23, 21, and 19. So we know we will use the one that's 23 because that's what our B is equal to, which is 5 and 18. So we have 15q squared plus 5q plus 18q plus 6. We group the first two values together. We can factor out a 5q, and we'll be left with 3q plus 1. We factor the second two terms. We can factor out a 6, and we'll be left with 3q plus 1. Now, in one parenthesis, we'll have 5q plus 6. In the other parenthesis, we'll have 3q plus 1. And we're done. Now what we have here is the same explanation that I've given to you all before about how we go about. Now we go down here to example 2, which we're still going to follow the same process. Even though we have this box here, this box is still telling us to follow the same exact process that we did in the previous problems. Okay, now it says factor completely by grouping. Now what we need to do is the same thing we've done before. We need to see first if this is lined up correctly, which it is, and we also need to see if there's anything that all three of them have in common, all three of these terms have in common aside from one. There isn't. So we'll list our A, B, and C. A is 3, B is 16, and C is negative 12. Okay, so now we will multiply. We would take A times C, which is 3 times negative 12, which is a negative 36. So now we need to find factors of negative 36, but first we'll do it as regular 36. So it'll be 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, and 6 and 6. Now we look here. we have our A and C gave us a negative answer, but our B is positive. So that means that the lower number should be negative. Negative 1 and 36 will give us 35. Negative 2 and 18 will give us 16. Negative 3 and 12 will give us 9. Negative 4 and 9 will give us 5. And negative 6 and 6 will give us 0. So we want to find the one that gives us 16, which is negative 2 and 18. So we add 3x squared minus 2x plus 18x minus 12. So we factored the first two terms, and we can factor out an x, and we add 3x minus 2. Now we go to the second two terms, 18x and 12. We can factor out a positive 6, and that'll give you 3x minus 2. Now, these two parentheses match up, so we'll write one set, which would be 3x minus 2, and then everything on the outside, which is x plus 6. And we're done with this problem here. Now we go here to B. It's in the proper order. They have nothing that they have in common aside from 1. So we'll list our A, which is 12, our B, which is negative 4, and our C, which is negative 5. So we'll do our A times C, which is 12 times negative 5, which is negative 60. Okay, now we would take negative 60, and we'd take the factors of 60, which is 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, 4 and 15, 5 and 12, 6 and 10. Okay, these are the factors of 60, but since our A and C gave us a negative, and our B is negative, that means that the larger number is negative. Of all these numbers, all of the larger numbers are negative. I should have given myself enough space, but I did not. We just have to work through that. So 1 plus negative 60 is negative 59. 2 plus a negative 30 will give us negative 28. 3 plus a negative 20 will give us negative 17. 4 plus a negative 15 is negative 11. 5 plus a negative 12 is negative 7. And 6 plus a negative 10 is negative 4. So we know we're going to use 6 and negative 10. So we add 12a squared plus 6a minus 10a minus 5. We group the first two values here. We can factor out a 6a, and we have 2a plus 1. We group the second two here. Now, negative 10a and negative 5, what we factor out must be negative, and their greatest common factor is negative 5, and we'll be left with 2a plus 1. Now, our final answer, we'll write one of these two parentheses, because they match up, and then everything on the outside. And that is the final answer for this problem. Now we look here at example 3a. We have 10x squared plus x minus 24. It's in the proper order, and they do not have anything that's common to all three. So we list our A, B, and C. A is 10, B is 1, and C is negative 24. Now we multiply our A and C, which give us 10 times negative 24, which will give us a negative 240. Now we find the factors of 240, which is 1 and 240, 2 and 120, 3 and 80, 4 and 60, 5 and, let's see, what's this? This would be 48. And then we have 6 and 40. We have 8 and 30. We have 10 and 14. And I believe that is it. Oh, no, it's actually 12. And also, I skipped one. It was supposed to be 12 and 20. Well, no, that's right. Yeah, this is 12 and 20. And I believe that that is it. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. One other one. It was, this is actually supposed to be 10 and 24, not 10 and 14. So I believe that this is it as far as the negative 240. And actually the last number would be 15 and 16. Okay, so now what we have to do is this. Since we multiply A and C and it gave us a negative, but our B is positive, that means that the smaller number has to be negative. Okay, now what we need to do here is these actual smaller numbers are negative. So we will mark them all smaller numbers as negative. Now instead of going down the whole list, negative 15 plus 16 is 1. So these are the ones we will use here. So we will have 10x squared minus 15x plus 16x minus 24. Okay, now we group the first two values. We can factor out a 5x, and we'll be left with 2x minus 3. We group the second two values, 16x and 24, both has 8 in common. So that will leave 2x minus 3. So our final answer would be 2x minus 3 and 5x plus 8. And that is the final answer. Now we go here to B. Now, this is in proper order. They do not have anything in common except 1. So we will write out our A, B, and C. A is 3, B is 17, and C is 10. So we'll multiply our A and C. And that will be, we know it's 3 times 10, which is 30. So the factors of 30 is 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, and 5 and 6. Now, since all of them is positive, we could just add them together. And the two numbers that we will add together here that will give us 17 is 2 and 15. So now we have 3x squared plus 2x plus 15x plus 10. We group these first two terms. We can factor out an x, and we add 3x plus 2. We group the second two terms here. We can factor out a positive 5. And then we will have 2x. Actually, no, it'll be 3x plus 2. Now this is actually 3x plus 2. And this was, what's that? That's x times 3x plus 2 plus 5 times 3x plus 2. So our final answer here would be x plus 5 and 3x plus 2. And that is our final answer. Okay, now, I don't know why this keeps jumping like this, but again, this is 3x plus 5. I mean x plus 5 and 3x plus 2. And it's in parentheses. I don't know why I keep jumping. And this isn't a negative 5, it's just 5. X plus 5 and 3x plus 2. Now, we scroll down here to C. Now, if we look here, we have 32x squared minus 28xy plus 3y squared. Now, it is in a proper order, but we have nothing in common here. So our A is 32, our B is negative 28, and our C is 3. Now, for some reason, this keeps popping and going, so what we would do, we will fix this in the next video.